Dick Johnson, as you can see, coming into the pit area, will hand over to John French. He has only got a small buffer over Larry Perkins.
He's got no buffer at all anymore.
Perkins gets the signal. He goes back and takes over the lead. So the pressure is certainly on John French to try and keep the same lap times up. Johnson still in second spot, and let's go down to our pit team.
Thanks, Mike. Yes. A driver change, as you can see. It's very, very quick indeed. They've got all four tyres having trouble with the rear left-hand tyre. Dick Johnson still giving instructions to John French. We're going to try and catch Dick for an interview now. Understand he's very happy. He's been lapping at 2:18s, 2:19s, which is about what he predicted. He said the car can do that all day. John French is away. Dick Johnson.
We're just going as hard as we can, Paddy, because that rotten Brock is still there, and we just got to make him work as hard as he possibly can too. Otherwise, mate, we haven't got a chance.
You're turning in about 2:18, 2:19 laps. You happy with that?
Yeah, we'd do 2:17s all day if it wasn't for all those whackers out there.
Down through. Look at this for some corner chopping. Here's Larry Perkins. And we'll put the watch on this as he moves in. Brock giving him the signal where he wants him. And we'll start the stopwatch now. Not a great deal of dialogue between the drivers. Let's go down to Pat Welsh.
Peter Brock obviously a little bit tense about this stop. He moved to Stewart's just a little earlier in the piece to move some gear from the Toshiba camp just in front of the dealer team camp so he could have a clear run for the 05 Commodore to come in and have this vital pit stop. As you said, Michael, not a lot of dialogue between the drivers, and it has been lightning fast, this stop. Brock now ready to go. No, there's still problems with the left-hand front wheel. Now Brock's away in super quick time.
Getting a big cheer from the crowd there too as Brock heads out over the ripple strips looking for Dick Johnson's Falcon to come into view, but I think Brock has been able to through doing a very, very quick pit stop. Johnson's car just coming down towards the end of Conrod Straight. Larry Perkins has done a fine job out there in the 05 car.
A shade under 32 seconds for that pit stop. I'm sure that the dealer team would be happy.
Taking into account slowdown time, I think you'll find that they've still got an advantage of about 25 seconds over Dick Johnson. Johnson just going through Hell Corner at the moment. The lead, in fact, is 21.49 seconds for Brock over Dick Johnson.
Well, Dick Johnson is still holding the Falcon flag high here at Mount Panorama, but Brisbane driver with not so much luck early in the race was John English. John entered a Falcon V8 this year. You've been a regular to Bathurst for many years, but you had a confrontation on the mountain earlier.
We certainly did, Cole. Unfortunately, we got jammed in by
and we can see the action coming up here now in slow motion, John. You're in the blue Falcon behind those three cars. And
Extravaganza from Down Under. This time we'll see the finish. Let's pick it up again.
Well, it's the trouble there for Paul Jones, and he has had a tyre go off on the Falcon, the Freedom Fencing entry. Now, let me tell you, he has a job and a half because he has to lift all the way around Mount Panorama and back into the pits. It's going to seem like the longest one lap he's ever completed here. He stays out of harm's way, providing he doesn't throw the tyre off. And there's something that hasn't lasted as he goes through the cutting. He's had a little moment, let me tell you. He's staying out of harm's way as Johnny Smith in the little Toyota goes through, and there's one just limping ahead of him. That looks like the Ignis entry. It has problems as well, so we have two cars trying to outlimp each other back to the pit area. Paul Jones.
Oh, and he's got tyre problems.
He's not going to get all the way around. He's got both of them. Both the tyres are off on the driver's side. Flat as pancakes.
Well, that's Kenny Matthews, Sydney car dealer. Was to have started in this event with Bob Skelton, but he fell ill and Ken Topfer took over the co-driver's role. So that's bad luck indeed for them, and it looks like they are in fact going to be out of the event.
Tony Mulvihill and Brian Nightingale are in the sand trap in their Takiko RX-7, and they're there for good. Parked. They can go home, put their feet up.
try and spin those tyres, and they just dig themselves a deeper hole. I'm afraid that sand is quite deep, so they're going nowhere.
I don't even think a wedge would help you there, Wilco.
My game's not that good.
Well, what a sad end to the James Hardie 1000. Buried there.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's not upset much.
You got a big cheer from the crowd.
There's one thing that brings you back to earth at Mount Panorama, and that's the Australian race fans. You get out and demonstrate that you're really wild with yourself or your car, they'll bring you back to earth very quickly indeed.
We're in the Roadways Commodore with Alan Grice on Mount Panorama. And Alan, it hasn't been a great day.
No, you can see I'm a bit busy, and that's just in a straight line.
Well, what are your plans? You going to stay out there or not?
No, I'm going to do another lap and bring it in and put Steve in. He was in the car when the car hit the fence. It's a bit the same as when you fall off a horse when you're a young bloke. The sooner we get him back in the car and get him all used to it again, it won't affect him, won't worry him. We don't worry about things like that.
It's giving you handling problems, is it?
Yeah, it's like trying to juggle an open box of confetti. you can probably see where the steering wheel is. It shouldn't be there. And it's down the straights, the place that's interesting. Over those jumps, we haven't got our front spoiler on to keep the car down. You watch this next, down near that tree, on the top of that crest. She takes off and floats along in the nose. It's quite a thrill.
Sure.
How'd you like to do that for a living? Here's another one.
It's all yours, mate.
Oh, we've got a problem here with His Royal Highness. And has he got a tyre gone off? Yes, he has. So that's going to be a limp back to the pits for Prince Leopold von Bayern. And if he stays, that's what I was going to suggest. If he gets across to that part of the course, there'll be a lot less traffic on the Autobahn when he gets down to the bottom.
Well, Conrod Strait is going to seem oh so long to him this time as he crawls his way down.
Well, he'll be heading into the pits.
Yeah, and I think they might take advantage of this for a driver change and put Denny Holm back in the car.
Our second place man, is that Dick Johnson
It is.
pulling up? Where is that coming out of? It's coming out of the cutting, and Johnson has come to a stop up there. Oh, this is tragic news for the Queenslander who's been running so strongly and has just really affected the pit stop.
Somebody, I've heard a report out of fuel. That can't be right. He was in the pits not so long back. Dick Johnson, Gary Wilkinson. Dick, can you hear us?
Yeah, mate, I can hear you.
What's the problem?
Oh, some goddamn thing in the tank, I don't know.
What, you got a fuel blockage?
No, it's not a blockage, mate. It just won't pick it up. Mate, you got a problem when it won't pick up a full tank.
Dick, this is desperate bad luck for you.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Jill, I can see the look of disappointment on her face down in the pit.
I think it's one more of anger.
Dick, you know, it's very hard to come up with the right words to say at a time like this. I know how desolate you must feel because it's called the Great Race, and I know that's exactly what you planned to make it today.
As you can see, Dick Johnson second on the road after a pit stop and has a problem with the fuel pickup in the Falcon. And that's all he can do is just sit there and wait for the truck to pick him up and bring him back into the pit area.
Suddenly, the top end of the race has changed dramatically with George Fury disappearing, as well as Dick Johnson. We're following the leader still, and that Commodore